Welcome to this presentation, Why Grateful People Win, Even When Life Feels Like a Lot. With me, your host and facilitator, Clare Ford, teen coach and founder of SwitchedON. So, today we're looking at something simple but really powerful, and that's gratitude. Not just as an idea, but as something that you can actually use day to day to help you think more clearly. So let's get started. Welcome, welcome. Lovely to have you here. We'll keep this relaxed and practical, nothing complicated, just a few ideas that you can use. So just before we start, a couple of quick things to help you to get the most out of this. So close any tabs down, any distractions, maybe put your phone on silent and have something that you can make notes on if you would like to. And please do use the comments or the chat tab to ask any questions, observations, or make any comments. Alrighty, so just so you know who I am, I have worked with teenagers for over 20 years, both in schools and now as a coach. And I see the same patterns come up again and again when life can feel like a lot and things start to get difficult. So, you may have had a whole day, perhaps where most things are actually fine, but then one or two things go wrong, and that's the bit your brain keeps coming back to. Well, that's really normal. And that's like my student Sammy, who had one of those days last week. So he woke up late, he'd been gaming. He woke up late. As a result, he rushed, he missed the bus. And because he was rushing, he forgot his homework. And then because he was stressed, he got questions wrong in the test. And then he ended up getting a detention because he hadn't handed his homework in. And that's all that he could think about, right? That's all that he could think about. Now, I'm sure that you have probably had a day like that as well. So let me know if you have. Now, you're not the only one, right? Lots of teenagers experience this at some point. And my student Aisha said this to me recently. I know I should be doing more. I just can't seem to get myself started, right? So you may be feeling stressed. You might also have low motivation, those emotional ups and downs, especially at exam time, struggling with your studies, or just having that lack of direction where you don't know what you want to do. And therefore, there doesn't seem to be much point in doing any of the work, right? I totally get it. And what we're going to learn today is going to help with that. Okay. So, I want you to understand that, of course, things go wrong. Things go wrong with all of us. We all have hard days. We all have hard knocks. But it's what your mind chooses to focus on that can make the real difference, right? You can either make something harder to cope with or easier to handle. Now, in Sam's case, the day had actually gone quite badly, and her brain here kept replaying those few moments, right? So what you focus on really, really matters. So the question becomes, how do we actually change that? How do we shift what we focus on? And this is what I'm going to share with you right now. So get ready to make some notes and write things down. One of the simplest ways to start shifting what we focus on is gratitude. So Zara started doing something really simple, just writing down a couple of things that went well each day. Just a couple of things, right? It literally took no more than 2 minutes. And this is what happened, right? Her days started to get better because she started to feel calmer and think more clearly. So studies using the brain scans show that when people practice gratitude, the areas like their prefrontal cortex become more active. Now, that front part of our brain is the bit that's linked to emotional control and clear thinking and decision making. So if you want to have better decisions, think more clearly, be in control of your emotions, you need to activate the front part of your brain. And the easiest way to do that is through an easy gratitude practice like Zara's. So gratitude supports the release of dopamine and serotonin. These are chemicals that are linked to motivation and mood. They're similar to the chemicals that are released when you do physical exercise. So it doesn't just feel nice when we're grateful for something, it actually helps our brain to function better. How cool is that? Comment below or in the chat box if you're getting this, if this is landing with you. So you can see here that we've got these little synapses, right, which link different parts of our brain together. And these are formed by repeatedly thinking or doing the same thing. So our brain is constantly adapting, and this is called neuroplasticity, right? The more you focus on something, the easier it becomes for your brain to notice it again. So at first, Zara said it felt a bit strange, like, what am I grateful for today? But after a couple of weeks, she was noticing that she spotted good things more easily. Because a bit like a muscle at the gym, when your synapses and your brain starts to work in a certain way, it gets stronger, right? So if you keep focusing on what's missing or what's going wrong, you're going to feel worse. And your brain is going to then look to focus on more of what's missing. But if you start to focus on what's working and what's going well, you're going to feel better. And likewise, your brain is going to look for more of the things that are working. Now, of course, Zara had bad days, but they didn't take over in the same way anymore. So I'm not asking you to pretend that everything's fine all of the time, right? This isn't just about making sure that this is just about making sure that problems aren't the only thing that your brain sees, okay? I'm not saying you're not going to have problems, right? But it's about making sure that you find moments which are working for you. So this story of mine, I was going through a depression. I was going through a divorce. It was very hard for me to focus on the things that were going well because lots of things were going extremely badly in my life at the time. But what I managed to do was to get up, to get out and to go for a walk every single day and give thanks that I was able to put one foot in front of the other. Give thanks for the nature around me, which continued to do its thing as the seasons turned. And this is what I noticed that was going well. Even if it wasn't in my own life, it was what was going well in the world around me. Okay. And this helped to raise me out of this funk. So I would love to invite you now to do a really short activity. Okay. There are no wrong or right answers. So get ready to write down some of your answers and then share them in the comments or the chat. All right. Here we go. So the first thing is to think about people who have helped you or made a difference in your life, even in just small ways. Okay, they could be a coach, a teacher, a friend, a neighbor, maybe even a stranger. Okay, think about how they've helped you and why you appreciate them. It could be somebody who's only just helped you once or just made you smile or even believed in you. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to do that. If you're watching this video, pause the video and then come back when you have written down who you are grateful for. All right, welcome back. So some of the responses we got a person who said that they're grateful for their tennis coach for believing in him when he didn't even believe in himself and he was going through a difficult time. We've got a student here who has said that she is grateful for her best friend who helped her through academic burnout. We've got somebody who said that they are grateful for an honest taxi driver when they got to a new city and they really didn't know where they were. And this taxi driver helped them to get to their meeting on time and not get lost, right? So all of these things, right? I'm so grateful to my sons who are my inspiration and my biggest achievement. So I'm so grateful to them. So well done if you've got one or two names of people that you are grateful for. Now, if you want to take this to the next level, you could actually send them a voice note, a text, or a little email or something to let them know that they've really helped you, right? That they've really made a difference. Even if you don't see them anymore, even if you're not doing the tennis anymore, or, you're not friends with the person anymore, you could still send them a message and say, do you know what? When I was going through that really hard time, I just want you to know I'm grateful for you. Can you imagine how that would feel for you if you received a message like that? How that would make your heart expand with love and joy to know that you had done that for somebody? So that is your little challenge. If you want to, I would suggest that you let that person know that you are grateful for them. I'm going to send a text to my sons after this presentation to let them know how grateful I am that they are in my life. Right? Okay, now moving on. Now, the next little exercise I'd like you to do is to write down the things that you're grateful for, things that we might normally overlook. All right. Things like the food in the fridge, the hot water in the taps, the pillow on your bed, right? The roof over your head. Okay. Music or a musical instrument. One of my students is a top guitarist. He's going in for a competition in Dubai. And when we did this activity, he said he was grateful for his guitar, right? Maybe even the place where you live. Is it a beautiful place? Is it a safe place? You know, can you get up and lead your daily life without fear of war, right? Is it a hobby perhaps that you do that just makes your heart sing? You know, you're an artist. Are you grateful for your art materials, which is a way that you can express yourself? One of my students said she was grateful for her laptop, and I was like, yes, of course. How amazing is technology? I'm so grateful that I've got a way of recording this training for you so that you can listen to it on whatever device you're using, wherever you are in the world. How amazing. Gratitude for the technology, right? So I would like you to think about some simple things and write those down now. Pop them in the comments, share them in the chat. What is it? What is it that you are grateful for? All right, welcome back. I hope you found some things that you're grateful for. And remember, you know, you can do this every day, right? And you'll find more and more things to be grateful for. So let me show you why this works. So here, it might be a bit small on your screen. See if you can enlarge it perhaps. But here is a scale of the vibrations of emotion. It's an emotional frequency scale. And you can see that at the very bottom, we've got shame, guilt, lack of interest, depression, right? This is where I was down here when I was going through my depression. And I had to try and get myself up the vibrational scale, all right? And using gratitude helped me go through grief, fear, anger, blame, and then get to courage to rebuild my life again, right? So if you're ever feeling down here, and life is an emotional roller coaster, we're not going to be feeling up here in the 900s all the time, right? But if you're, you know, worried about an exam, or if you're jealous of your friend, or if you hate your parents one day, right? Or if you're doubting where you're going with your life, you can still feel those things, of course. But if you tap into gratitude, it is a higher vibrational frequency, and it will help you feel better. You might get from those feelings into irritation, right? Or boredom. And then eventually you might actually feel some hope and optimism, right? Which is where I try to get my students up to here, that there's a reason that you're here, that you're an amazing young person and that you've got everything to be optimistic about. Okay. And here, this belief in yourself. This is where the change happens, right? But we all feel this plethora of emotions, this rainbow of emotions. And tapping into gratitude can help us to raise our vibration and therefore see more good things around us and attract more good things to us that we're grateful for. So, a simple daily practice for you. At the end of each day, or even at the beginning of each day, ask yourself just two questions. Who am I grateful for? And what am I grateful for? Okay. Now, you can journal these, of course, in a journal, or you can pop these down in a voice note, just voice note them. I suggest at the start that you write them down by hand because it makes it more intentional I've been doing this for quite a few years now. So I literally just have a thought that goes through my head. I remind myself to do my gratitude practice, and then I just do it, right? But while you're starting out, there may even be a resource, a link near here where you can download some information about a gratitude practice. Okay, so have a look for that. But this is the simple questions that it's based on. Who am I grateful for and what am I grateful for? Exactly like you've just done today. All right. So the difference isn't knowing it, it's actually doing it. All right. This isn't intended to just give you more information. I want you to go ahead and do it like you've done today. It wasn't so hard, right? So just remember, what you focus on grows. You can boost your brain with this simple practice, and you can boost your mood by raising up that emotional scale by being grateful. So I want you to take the action today, not just take away the information. Now, share your key takeaways in the chat or the comments, because I would love to know what you have taken away from this presentation, so that if your parents ask you, what did you learn from the gratitude practice with Claire, you can actually tell them some concrete things. All right. So fantastic. Well done for doing this. And remember, you are not on your own. You don't have to figure this life out on your own when it gets a lot, right? I am here. If you want more support, please go ahead and go onto the website. You can organize a call with me. Your parents can organize a call with me, or click the link around this video for your next steps into the gratitude practice. All right, take care. Until the next time, bye for now.